I'm at Green's at Fort Mason in San Francisco, and I ran into Lew Rockwell, the head of LewRockwell.com and the head of the Ludwig von Mises Institute in Auburn, Alabama. And I've got a question for you, Lew. Do you have a new book out on von Mises?
June, we do. It's the first full-length biography of Mises ever written. Terrible to say that it's been this many years since a man this important has had a biography, but this book was worth waiting for. It's about 1,000 pages. It's written by a young Austrian economist by the name of Jorge Guido Hulsmann. Guido is today a professor of economics in France, and this book took him 8 years to write, and I would say it was well worth it.
Well, how do you get the book?
Well, it's not out yet. It's in
When's
process.
It coming out?
Well, it'll be out this fall, and it's quite an exciting. One thing I can tell you, no matter what you think you knew about Mises, you knew nothing about Mises until you read this book. Guido traveled all over Europe. He traveled to all the places where Mises lived, where there are Mises archives. Went to Moscow, where Mises' papers, which were originally stolen by the Nazis and held by and then taken again by the Soviets, were held. And he went all through those, through his papers from Vienna, from Geneva, from America. He went to his primary and secondary schools, where they still kept all his school records, and he was an amazing student even as a very young boy. But I must say the thing that impressed me about this book, about Guido's writing, since Guido's first language is German, he speaks French, he speaks Spanish, Latin, and of course English. What a great story this is! It's almost like a novel. I mean, Mises had a very exciting life. In one case, he and his wife barely escaped from the German armies advancing across France, and he and Margaret just in front of them before getting to Lisbon and then to America in 1940. And this was, I should also mention, this is the great economist of the 20th century, the first man to show that socialism would have to be a poverty-producing, chaotic disaster. Way back in 1920, showed exactly what communism and socialism lead to, and for that matter, central banking like our Federal Reserve, interventionist economic policies like our federal government inflicts on the American economy. This is the great champion of classical liberalism, of laissez-faire economics, of the Austrian school, and of just the idea of liberty itself. This is a great book, and I think it's going to bring Mises' work to a whole new generation, and I'm very excited about it and very excited about the job that Guido did.
It sounds great. I have one other question. What's the lineup on LewRockwell.com tonight, for tomorrow?
Well,
tell us what the stories are.
I haven't done the page yet.
You can't tell us one of the stories or a couple of stories?
Well, there's some interesting one of my shticks is archaeology, so there's a great story about the Domus Aureus, the fabulous palace that Nero built in Rome, and he finished just before he was executed. It was the Golden House that had a 60-foot statue of himself in front of it. That was the kind of guy Nero was. So this has finally been reopened, the palace. It's all underground these days from all the building that took place over the centuries. But I think that's very exciting. The lead article is by Michael Rosette. Michael is a retired finance professor from SUNY at Buffalo. And this is an article about international peace and why the quest for peace and the cause of peace is not an impossibility, why it's not some utopian dream, why it is actually possible to have peace even with states, even in a world of states. It is possible to have a far more peaceful world than we have today, especially because, of course, of the hegemon, the U.S. government, which is the great opponent of peace. And we live in days when George Bush is about to start another war of aggression, this time against Iran. So Michael is a great voice for the cause of peace.
Thank you, Lew Rockwell, in San Francisco.